Welcome. This is The Outlet. So, on this episode, we're going to talk about the 2020 presidential candidates, right? Because it is getting closer. And let's take a closer look at these people now. I'm going to try to get to everybody, but probably not going to reach everybody, but let's try. Alright, so Barry Sanders, right? One of his big deals is healthcare. He wants a single payer system. He says public college education should be free. Okay, I'm not against that. I'm betting how he's going to pay for it is a lot of the stuff is going to be through taxes. I'm pretty sure he's just going to raise taxes. He says we need early childhood education that is high quality, affordable. Okay, nothing wrong with that. He says colleges and universities should hire more faculty and increase their percentage of tenured and tenure track professors. Okay. I understand that. But is college worth it now? Unless he's just going to make it free, which he should. That's cool. He says student loan interest should be heavily reduced. Hold on, Bernie. Hold on, Bernie. I thought he said college should be free at one point. Oh, let me see. If it's free, where does student loan? If it's free, where do student loan interest rates come from? Colleges and universities should expand work-study programs to include all interested students. Okay, I get what you're saying, Bernie. Children brought into America undocumented at a young age need to be given a fair and attainable opportunity to remain in the U.S., get an education, and contribute to the economy. Well, a lot of black people still need to get that too, Bernie. Just saying. Let's see. But I'm not against it though. Just don't forget about black people, Bernie. But I also know this hurts the black community. Yeah. At least I think it hurts the black community because bringing in all the immigrants, yeah, it hurts wages. But I'm still not against bringing on immigrants in because shoot, all white people are immigrants, right? Some of everybody immigrants. Only ones that's not immigrants is black people, you could say. I know some people are gonna go against me on that, but hey. Um. Okay, here we go. He finally starts talking about college tuition. I'm looking at one of his websites, by the way, feeltheburn.org. Um, he's calling it the S1373 College for All Act. The College for All Act would make all public colleges and universities tuition free. Okay, but if he's going to do that, then what was he talking about? Student interest needs to be reduced earlier then. Or student loan interest. I got questions, Barney. The College for All Act would remove requirements for students to apply for financial aid each year. Okay. That's cool. All this is cool, Barney. I have nothing against none that you're saying so far, but you still ain't brought up reparations though. Black people need their reparations, Barney. I'm just saying. I still haven't found anything about Barney supporting reparations. But a lot of his policies he's been expounding, I'm on board with it. He basically wants to take Obamacare to the next level, which would be single payer. Seems like he wants to help the poor. Okay. He also says he would increase the minimum wage to $15. Now that sounds good, Brian. That does. Um, I also heard if we would have, kept on par from the past, how much everything else was rising, we would be getting $33 for minimum wage. But $15 is cool though, it's a start. He talks about reforming the broken criminal justice and immigration systems, saying that they perpetuate inequality. True, true. He says the immigration and prison system or criminal system needs to be revamped. I agree with that. It does. Most of the, I mean, it's just so many black people in prison, right? And they do it on purpose. It's all done systematically. They opening up new jails. I mean, it's crazy, right? And isn't I mean, the jail just shouldn't be privately owned. That just shouldn't be a thing. Because that means if it's privately owned, that means it's about making money. So you're literally trying to get people in jail. Certain things just shouldn't be privately owned. Simple as that. Because money comes into the equation. But let's go on to the next candidate, man. We're going to talk about Kamala Harris. Okay. Kamala Harris, she proposes a tax plan. She says she will run for president proposing a nearly $3 trillion tax plan, billions in tax credits to low-income renters, a Medicare for all healthcare system, and a reduction in cash bail for inmates charged with criminal offenses, her aides said. Those are decent qualities, but she has some bad things in her past. At least this is from what I've heard. She has hurt the black community. She has locked up a lot of black people, or black men. Well, she's locked up a lot of black people and put them in prison. And she married a white man at that, So putting blacks in prison, married a white man. Okay. Somebody said she was trying to play the role of the lady in Scandal. I actually did hear it was somebody she was like the side chick of, somebody said. I don't know how true all this is, but she cheated on someone. He was a mayor or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into it. But yeah, let's move on. And Scandal's the show where the black lady was having sex with the white president. If you didn't know, which is very bad for the black community, but a lot of black women liked it though, right? That shows you how many black women are not for the black community, you could say. In a time where the black community is in chaos and reports are coming out talking about black Americans' wealth is going to be zero if nothing changes by 2053. That's crazy, right? But it's okay for Kamala to do what Kamala has done. But anyway, I've even heard Kyle Korver, the basketball player, he wrote a letter. Well, I did see he wrote a letter that he thinks it was about how blacks only own 1/10 of the wealth of this nation, and he thought that was just cruel, right? And I agree, like that's terrible, right? We've been here the longest, but we only own 1/10 of the wealth of this nation, which means it was done systematically, right? Um, you could say that America believes that white men deserve everything. Like that's really kind of how America is, right? Like that could be the title of America. White men deserve everything, even black women, right? I'm not gonna get into that though. But there are so many black women that have given up on black men. I even see black women, at least a good number of black women worshiping Meghan Markle. Marker. Marker. Man, I'm saying her name. Can't say her name correctly. Markle. There, that's better. But they worship her because she decided to marry a white prince. A white man that's a prince. And his family is known for being bigots. Alright? But okay. Uh, at least that's how America has been operating, in the past. Well, now too, you could say. Take all the resources and take. Well, I ain't gonna say that. I'm not even astonished though, because I know how messed up things are at the moment. I mean, we even have a name for black women that are betraying the black community, which is dead witch, right? So you ever hear somebody call somebody a dead witch, they basically talking about they're a traitor. Or they love white men. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into that, but yeah. Let's move on to Beto O'Rourke. He believes in a path to citizenship for what I have read. He did some type of sit-in where they had it was a sit-in for a shooting at the Pulse nightclub down in Florida, and he kind of he was that's cool. He sat in. Um, Maybe he cares, or maybe it was for the exposure, but hey, there still wasn't anything passed though legislatively. Let's see. O'Rourke continues to support similar policies when it comes to gun control, including universal back gun controls, magazines size limits, and restrictions on some semi-automatic weapons. I mean, that's cool. He wants to make the world a better place. That's cool. Um, let's see. He supports universal health care, increasingly a litmus test position for Democratic candidates. He hasn't committed to a specific way to get there. Um, he suggested that it take the form of a single-payer system or a dual system in which the government-run program would coexist with private insurance. Now, no. I am so against private insurance when it comes to healthcare because that brings money into healthcare. Like, you're trying to make money off of sick people and stuff. It's just not cool. Not cool at all. But I guess he's saying you can get the option of the government run insurance. But I just think private insurance just needs to be gone when it comes to healthcare. And let's see. When it comes to proposals for mitigating climate change, opponents frequently cite the potential cost of those plans. Mr. Beto O'Rourke has emphasized the financial impact of climate change itself, billions of dollars that are spent on steps like seawalls, which would be critical if climate change continues unchecked, is money not spent on other priorities. He noted at a town hall event with Columbia University State last month. He spoke positively about the Green New Deal, calling it a technical and logistically doable. As for his political prospects, I don't know. He said that's up to all of us, right? So the Green New Deal is something that a lot of the Democrats are pushing for or on board with. And I completely understand why. It's cool. Let's see, where else? O'Rourke emphasized criminal justice in his 2018 campaign, focusing in particular on racial and economic inequities. Let's see, he described his own criminal record. He was arrested once for attempting forcible entry and once for drunken driving when he was in his 20s. Both charges were dismissed and argued that his success since then has been possibly because of his race and economic status. So basically, he's admitting he has white privilege. Okay. Okay, you kind of understand something. At least you admit that. Most White men don't admit that, but hey. Um, he says the chance that I had and which I have made the most of is denied to many of our fellow Texans, particularly those who do not look like me or have access to the same opportunities that I did, he wrote. He called for closing private and for-profit prisons, uh, decriminalizing marijuana and expunging the records of people previously convicted of possessing it, eliminating mandatory minimum sentences for nonviolent crimes, and reforming the bail system. So people charged with misdemeanors would not be incarcerated because of their inability to pay. Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool, right? Reforming the bail system so people will be able to get out of jail, right? Because they'll raise the price up on if you broke, you can't get out of jail. That's crazy, right? But this is the American system, though. Anyway, we're gonna move on to Cory Booker. But something about Belroy though. He said nothing about reparations. He's avoiding the reparations topic, right? And that's the problem with so many of these Democrats, right? They're all avoiding reparations, right? And they want the black community's vote, but they don't want to pass legislation for the black community. If you want us on board, you got to pass reparations. You have to. No ifs, ands, or buts. You got to. But let's move on to Cory Booker, though. Now he has proposed, from what I hear, legislation for reparations, but it's like he's talking about making a committee to do research on reparations. And I'm like, the research and reparations? So how long would that take, right? Like, we could be talking years before you even get done with the research, right? And so that means it's gonna be years before the black community gets their reparations. I ain't trying to hear that. We need it now. We need the tangibles now. Why wait? Huh? We know it's old. What you need to do research on? Are you trying to do research so other people can get in on our reparations? Is that what you're trying to do? Hmm? You trying to get the Haitians in on it? Are the Haitians from Black America? Were the Haitians in slavery in America? Nothing against the Haitians or any other black immigrants. I got much love for y'all. Um, but I'm just saying right now, black Americans needs their reparations. That's all I'm saying. But let's move on. Uh, because we know how they did affirmative action, they put out, so many people in affirmative action when it's supposed to be specifically for black people. But hey, moving on. He's also in favor of legalizing marijuana at the federal level, and he represents Big Pharma State. And while he represents a Big Pharma State, Booker stopped accepting donations from pharmaceutical companies for receiving some criticism. He told NPR in 2017, I understood that pharmaceutical companies are making innovations that are life-saving, but something has become terribly twisted if you can go to other countries who can buy drugs that are made and innovated on the United States and find them for dramatically less cost. He supports the dream. So basically he's a corporate he's a corporate candidate. He works for the corporations. And if you work for the corporations, we really can't be supporting you because that means you're going to do whatever the corporations say. But let's go on to what else he believes. The senator supports gun safety legislation, including expanding background checks, preventing those on terrorist watch lists from purchasing weapons, and banning high-capacity magazines and assault weapons. Okay, so he's for gun legislation. That's cool. He don't want to see a lot of mass shootings. Even though that doesn't necessarily stop mass shootings, because in Europe they have gun laws, right? And they still sometimes have mass shootings, right? He supports women's rights, which is cool. He supports a 15-hour minimum wage and ending the gender pay gap. He also introduced the American Opportunity Account Act in October 2018, which would essentially create a savings account for American children. According to Vox, the bill would give each child a $1,000 savings account when born. Then, until the child turns 18, the government would add up to $2,000 a year to the account, depending on the family's income, with low-income families receiving more money. When the children turn 18, they can access the account, but the money can only be used for specific things like education, retirement, or buying a home. Interesting. I actually like that particular policy. It's called the American Opportunity Accounts Act. Um, but still, the black community needs reparations. If you ain't screaming reparations, the black community cannot be for you, or we won't vote for you. You might get half of us, you might get the coons, uh, but nah, like we ain't down. At least a lot of us ain't gonna be down. You basically gonna end up splitting the ticket like Hillary did. But let's move on to the next candidate. It's Pete. Pete Buttigieg. I don't know how to say his last name, but yes, it's a guy named Pete. He's a mayor, or he was the mayor of South Bend, and he's actually gay. He would be the first gay president. hmm He served in Afghanistan during his tenure of being mayor. That's interesting. Yeah, he's definitely different. And he married a man. I saw that correctly. He's with a man. He ran for the Democratic National Committee chair, and he lost that. But the thing is, he's only 37. Hmm. So he would end up being the youngest president if he actually was elected. He supports Medicare for all who wants it, and he has sidestepped the reparations question. And so many of these Democratic candidates have sidestepped the reparations issue, as if we don't deserve or if we're not owed our reparations. Like, what is that about? Please, Democratic candidates, please enlighten me on why y'all keep sidestepping reparations. But anywho, he supports the Green Deal. Okay. And he doesn't really have any concrete policies as of yet. Or at least he hasn't come publicly with any policies yet. And that is Pete. Not really feeling Pete. Simply because he haven't brought up reparations. I don't think he brought up too many things about black people. At least he hasn't come publicly with anything yet. Then we have Christian Gillibrand. Okay, Christian Gillibrand. She says she's running to lift up the voices of those who've been ignored for too long. Women, people of color, LGBTQ people, low-income communities, young people. I promise to keep listening. One of the best ways I can lift up your stories is on the national debate stage. One way to qualify for the debates is with 65,000 individual donors joining our team. Donate to help share our stories with millions. Fight for the future and carry our movement forward. Okay. She says she's for people of color, but hey, what legislation have you brought up that is for people of color? That's what I want to know. Have you said anything about reparations yet? If I ain't heard reparations, I'm not down. Let's see. She's for universal health care. That's a policy. I think just about all the Democrats are for universal health care in some aspect. I think I did hear of one that was like also for private insurance along with universal health care, which is weird. But anyway, because private health care is just not cool. Healthcare should be a right for everyone in this country, not just a privilege for those who can afford it. Christian supports Medicare for All, and she wrote the Senate's transition plan to get there from our current private insurance system. She defended against Republican attacks on the Affordable Care Act and has fought to protect health coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. Universal health care has to include access to mental health care and the full range of reproductive health care, reduce prescription drug costs, and support addiction treatment. Okay, I agree with that. There are a lot of people with mental problems. Um, yeah, I mean that's all cool. Reduce the prescription drug costs. Okay. What else she got? She's for climate change. Okay, climate change. She says climate change is the most serious threat to humanity today, and we need to take immediate and bold action to address it. Christian was one of the first supporters of the Green New Deal, which would take major steps to save our planet by investing in infrastructure, creating a green jobs economy, and protecting clean air and water. Okay, that's cool. We can get to a net zero emissions economy by creating tax incentives to reward innovation and investment in renewable energy technology. We also need to put a price on carbon to steer companies away from fossil fuels and towards clean and renewable energy sources. We also need to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement, stop the expansion of offshore drilling and drilling on public lands, and require companies to report climate risks. Okay, that sounds all pretty awesome. The Green New Deal is something that I know. It's some guy, and then I know also Alexandria Ocasio, what's her last? Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. I know she it's like her, and then it's a dude. I forgot the dude name, but I know they're like the writers of the Green New Deal, and that's cool. You know, the Green New Deal is cool. I actually like Alexandria. Um, the only thing I would say she hasn't. I haven't actually heard her come out for reparations yet. Maybe she has and I just missed it. I don't know, but I haven't heard her. Um, okay, let's see what else we got. Christian also says we need to address institutional racism. Despite the progress we have made on civil rights, the hard truth is that institutional racism persists in our economy, education, healthcare, housing, and criminal justice system. Christian believes that everyone must be a part of the struggle for justice and has led on policies that would help combat systematic inequality and bias, lift up communities of color, and expand opportunity for everyone. She wrote and introduced a bill to establish postal banking, which would let people without checking accounts, disproportionate people of color, open accounts and take out small loans at their local post office. She has also led efforts to fight injustice and close disparities in law enforcement, access to clean air and water, health care, and um, maternal mortality and education. That's all cool, you know, because we definitely know that there is institutional racism. And so many of these healthcare, it's different companies, right? You see all these white people, not a lot of people of color in there, because it's done systematically, right? Um, if you go to a lot of these companies, you'll see if you go to their corporate offices, way more whites, right? You might see at some of their general stores, you might see the lower people. You might have black people in there then, but if you go to their corporate stores, it's like all white. The managers are usually going to be white, you know. But yeah, um, we need to fix our broken criminal justice system, she says. Um, when low income people and people of color face huge disparities in arrests, sentencing and incarceration compared to wealthy and white people for the same or lesser charges. It's clear and urgent sign that we need to rectify the injustices in our criminal justice system. We have a mass incarceration crisis, and institutional racism pervades the way we enforce laws. To rectify this, we should legalize marijuana at the federal level and expunge past records, reform our sentencing laws so that judges can have more flexibility when dealing with low-level, nonviolent drug offenses, change federal rules for our prisons, end cash bail, and invest resources in communities harmed by the racist war on drugs. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a must. Um, because you do know, but actually Bill Clinton is one who really implemented the bill. I mean, it was started, I think, Richard Nixon, but what is it? Ronald Reagan expanded on it, but then Bill Clinton just literally just, I don't know what in the world he was thinking. He's the reason Hillary Clinton didn't get elected. She had no shot because of Bill Clinton and that bill. But yeah, so we definitely need to do something about that criminal justice system. Um, let's see. We're gonna go to Julian Castro, the former mayor of San Antonio and Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under former President Obama, who's hoping to be the first Latino president of the United States. Castro says on day one in office, the first step would be signing an executive order recommitting the U.S. to the Paris Climate Agreement. So that is your first order, your first executive order. It should be something about reparations, man. Why would that be your first step? Everybody's trying to bypass reparations. It's not cool. You know that we're owed this, but you keep bypassing it. Anyway, he supports climate change. And the first major piece of legislation that my administration would submit to Congress, here we go, he just switched it, is universal health insurance. So those are two things that I would focus on right away. Okay, universal health insurance and Paris Climate Agreement. Those are cool, but they should come after reparations. Reparations should be first. To all the Democrats, if you want to get elected, you need to come up with reparations. Implement a plan for reparations. Say that's going to be the first thing you do is reparations. Pass a bill that would give black people their reparations. Because it's past due. It's been owed. Let's see. Castro's grandmother came to the U.S. from Mexico as a 7-year-old orphan. She worked as a maid, cook, and babysitter while raising Castro's mother, Maria, as a single parent. Maria was a political activist, and both of her sons went on to careers in politics. Castro's brother, how you say that, Joaquin? Joaquin? I don't know. I probably just messed up his name. But has represented Texas' 20th congressional district since 2013. Okay. So he comes from immigrants. It was a very odd attack back then. It came in the middle of the vice presidential selection process, and that the program that talked about had been around before I got to HUD, and I was actually the one that came in and said, we're going to change this. We're going to improve the program. And we did improve the program. So I just saw it as a kind of off base, attempt by some individuals and some groups to score some political points. The other thing is that the Coalition Color of Change, that was one of the organizations that had signed onto it, actually took their name off of that attack once they understood that what we were already working on. This had something to do with they were selling houses or something to Wall Street. It was like foreclosed houses or something like that. I don't know. Let's see. He grew up a Catholic. Catholic. The Catholic faith. The Catholic faith has played an integral role in my life, and at the same time, I don't think that there is a single person that doesn't have some disagreements with their faith. And so I've already been clear that I'm pro-choice. I recognize that there are people of different faiths in this country, and there are people that choose not to believe, and that our Constitution recognizes the difference between one faith and the governance of this country. So if we elected somebody that is of Catholic faith, would they protect like what's going on like within the Catholic community right now with all the molestations and sodomy and this and that, from the priests? Because I mean it's pretty much public now. Um, Nobody's going to forget that, but okay. Good luck with that one. Um, let's see. I actually believe that one of the lessons of 1993 and 1994, as well as 2009 and 2010, is that when a Democratic president has the opportunity with a Democratic Congress, that you shouldn't wait to push significant legislation, whether it's healthcare, immigration reform, or other measures. Okay. But once again, no freaking reparations. The closest we came to it was Cory Booker so far. Like, I don't know. I don't know. We got John Hickenlooper. Who is John Hickenlooper? Hickenlooper. Okay. Mr. Hickenlooper supports universal health care in principle, but has refused to get behind specific proposals like Medicare for All. Speaking in New Hampshire last month, he said that there were many different ways to cut the pie and work on the issue, and that intra-party arguments over the specifics were counterproductive. What are you saying? I shouldn't argue with you over it? He did, however, explicitly reject the idea of eliminating private insurance companies, as promoted by Senator Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris. Well, you want to keep private insurance companies, Mr. Hickenlooper. That is just not cool, man. People should not make money off the sick, man. That's just not cool. Let's go to the environment. As governor, Mr. Hickenlooper, a former geologist, geologist, I can't even talk right now, geologist, added Colorado to the U.S. Climate Alliance, a group of states working to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to counter the Trump administration's environmental policies. He also signed an executive order mandating by 2025 a 26% reduction in emissions from 2005 levels, and emphasized the economic potential of renewable energy. He has called for a more aggressive response to climate change and expressed tentative support for the Green New Deal. So he supports the Green New Deal. That's cool. Looks like all the Democrats are in sync with supporting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Geologist. Let's see. So he supports universal health care in principle. Okay, but he kind of wants private and government run insurance, it seems. That's interesting. So he doesn't get my vote. Didn't even speak of reparations. None of these Democrats are speaking of reparations. It's crazy. Then we have Amy Klobuchar. Now, Klobuchar is a vocal advocate for reducing healthcare costs, but she has not called for a dramatic overhaul of the system as some of her Senate colleagues and primary competitors. Klobuchar has backed the expansion of both Medicare and Medicaid. So you backed the expansion. But she hasn't came for universal health care yet. She's not a supporter of it. She says she supports a path. Oh, she supports a path to universal health care, starting with a public option, which would allow Americans to opt into a government-run instead of private plans. So she wants the public option. Hmm. So you can choose between both. Huh. I think I am not. Just the private insurance, that's all about money, man. So uh sorry, Klobuchar. Klobuchar has aimed to make a name out of dealing with economic security issues after Russian efforts to influence the 2016 election. She has focused specifically on the use of social media platforms to spread information. In 2017, she introduced legislation designed to increase transparency in online election advertising. It would put more online communications under the purview of election law and requires social media companies to keep more information about who buys what advertisements and who they target. Okay. That sounds like a good deal. Klobuchar represents a foreign state that relies heavily on trade with Canada. Isn't Klobuchar from Minnesota? Anyway, she has criticized American trade tensions with China while showing support for some of Trump's protection. Hold on, she's showing support for some of his protectionist moves. Phew, not cool, Klobuchar. Klobuchar sits on the Senate Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry. On her Senate website, she cites boosting insurance programs for farmers hurt by bad weather and market fluctuations as one of her priorities. All this sounds good, right? Only so for Klobuchar not liking, she didn't go for the universal health care. I'm for the universal health care. Um, and let's see. She didn't say she's for reparations, did it? If you're not for reparations, the black community cannot vote for you. I'm sorry. You might get a few, but you ain't gonna get a lot. It has to be reparations. Okay, so the next candidate to go over is Andrew Yang. Okay, so I've heard of him talk about universal basic income. And I think he's the only one that has talked about universal basic income. Now that I think about it, he wants to give everybody $1,000. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. $1,000 a month. Let me make sure I put that month on there. $1,000 a month. Universal basic income is definitely, yeah. I'm definitely for that. But at the same time, black people still needs their reparations. We are owed our reparations, so give us our reparations on top of $1,000 a month. We are the only ones that were put into slavery. So we should be the only ones that's given reparations. If you don't bring up reparations first, then you don't get the black community's vote. At least that's how I see it. Like that's how it should be. Um, he talks about a lot of ink has been spilled over the skills gap, the space between skills those seeking work and those hiring won't. There's a simple solution to this problem: community colleges. So he's a big advocate of community colleges. All community colleges should be funded at a level to make tuition free or nearly free for everyone, especially those who are taking vocational classes. The government can be involved, but businesses should also be encouraged to invest in their areas, community colleges, both to create stronger ties to their communities and better access to this potential workforce. Mm-hmm. So he's for community colleges being free or almost free, but he says nothing about public colleges or universities, public universities. So Sorry, I can't roll with you on that one, Andrew Yang. I'm cool with you on universal basic income, but you wanna support or just make he just wants to make community colleges free, but not the universities. Well, public universities gonna probably end up going out of business anyway, but still, you need to make them free. Free financial counseling for all, free marriage counseling for all. So these are things he supports. Marriage counseling for all. Um, okay. Does he does want Medicare for all also? Okay, so he's for universal income then. I mean universal healthcare. Okay, that's cool. Marriage counseling. Like some of these people, marriage counseling just ain't gonna help because the whole reason a lot of these women even get with dudes is because they got money, right? If everything's based on money, as soon as the money's gone, you eventually gonna break up, right? Because it was all predicated on money. But I'm not gonna get in. This is not a relationship show right now. So let's get back to what else he supports. But providing holistic health care to all of our citizens will drastically increase the average quality of life, extend life expectancies, and treat issues that often go untreated. Will also be able to bring costs under control and outcomes up as most other industrialized nations have. Okay, that's cool, I guess. Holistic healthcare. Now, holistic was like Dr. Sebi, I think. Dr. Sebi did holistic healthcare. Um, okay, so he also wants to empower MMA fighters. He says today MMA fighters are largely in the same place as boxers were decades ago. The sport has quickly gained national prominence, but many of the problems that plague the pre-Ali Act boxing industry has repeated themselves in mixed martial arts. Mhm. In addition, MMA fighters are treated as independent contractors, even though their behavior and attire are tightly controlled, and any attempt to unionize has been met with retaliation and firing. So they're treated as independent contractors. Okay. And independent contractors, they're taxed differently than regular employees. So that's something to think about too. And I think it comes out cheaper for the company if they're independent contractors. Um, because of the lack of a strong private sector organization to establish uniform and appropriate business practices and ethical standards, it's necessary for Congress to step in to ensure that the fighters are protected from exploitative situations while also ensuring that fights and rankings are fair. Also, fighters should be empowered to organize an association or union and should be treated as athletes and employees instead of independent contractors. Okay. I don't see a big I don't see nothing like really wrong with that. But once again, nothing about reparations. He talks about prosperity grants. Okay. What are these prosperity grants? In order to foster investment in the community, the federal government should give each working age American $100 per year to donate to a 501. A 501c3 nonprofit. This would funnel approximately $20 billion to local nonprofits, and it can easily be paid for by reducing the tax credit for itemized donations to a maximum of 22% with a floor of 500 for itemized deductions. Well, when it comes to nonprofits, I really don't see a lot of nonprofits actually helping out the black community, right? So right now, man, I'm talking about the black community, right? You know, black community is like at the bottom right now. So my question to you is, what are you doing to help out the bottom, right? Black people are at the bottom. They already talking about it's a high possibility of if nothing changes, we're going to get 0% wealth by 2053. Yet a lot of these candidates aren't doing anything specific for the black community. Andrew Mr. Andrew Yang, or um, I'm gonna need you to do something with reparations. He's also a tech guru, right? He's from the tech community, so that's something else you should know about him. Um, so yeah, that is what's up with Mr. Andrew Yang. Um, let's see. Who else I haven't talked about? Let's see. Andrew Yang. We talked about Hickalooper. Um, let's see. Who else we talked about? We talked about a lot of people, right? But we're missing somebody. I know we're missing somebody. Let's see. Camilla, we talked about Andrew Yang. Hickalooper, talked about Pete, my boy Pete. He's not really my boy, I just felt like saying Pete. Let's see. Cory Booker. Okay, here we go. Elizabeth Warren. I forgot all about Elizabeth Warren. Um, so have I heard? I think she said she would sign something. Matter of fact, I did see something on TV where she said she would sign legislation if it got on her desk. So she's not actually moving forward herself. Like it's not like first on her agenda, right? But like if somebody was to pick legislation on her desk, she would sign it. That's what she said, I think. Um, She wants to end Washington corruption, rebuild a middle class, strengthen our democracy. She wants equal justice under law, a foreign policy for all. Let me see. Let's see what she says here. End Washington corruption. She says Washington works great for the wealthy and the well-connected, but it isn't working for anyone else. Companies and wealthy individuals spend billions every year to influence Congress and federal agencies to put their interests ahead of the public interest. This is deliberate, and we need to call this what it is: corruption. Plain and simple. That's why Elizabeth has proposed the most ambitious set of anti-corruption reforms since Watergate to fundamentally change the way Washington does business. We will start by ending lobbying as we know it, by closing loopholes so everyone who lobbies must register, shining sunlight on their activities, banning foreign governments from hiring Washington lobbyists, and shutting down the ability of lobbyists to move freely in and out of government jobs. We will also shut the revolving door between Wall Street and Washington and permanently ban senators and congressmen from trading stocks in office and from becoming a lobbyist when they retire, not for 1 year or 2 years, but for life. We will make the justices of the Supreme Court follow a code of ethics and strengthen the code of conduct for all judges to make sure everyone gets a fair shake in our courts. And we will force every candidate for federal office to put their tax returns online. Okay, sounds cool and all. Together, these sweeping structural changes will end the dominance of money in Washington, taking power away from the rich and powerful and putting it back where it belongs with the American people themselves. Okay, so that seems pretty cool. I'm not against none of that. Um, but Miss Senator Warren, we definitely need you to pass reparations first. Like that needs to be the first thing on the agenda. That's the mandate, reparations. But so many of them just don't understand the importance of reparations right now. And I understand that there's some people probably feel that a lot of black people will actually give money right back to white people, and there are a lot of black people that just aren't understanding what financial literacy means. Right? A lot of black people don't understand that you should spend money in your own community. That's something Nipsey Hussle was doing, right? So yeah, but I understand that. Let's see where else she got. She wants to rebuild the middle class. After decades of largely flat wages and exploding household costs, millions of families can barely breathe. For generations, people of color have been shut out of their chance to build wealth. It's time for big structural changes to put economic power back in the hands of the American people. That means putting power back in the hands of workers and unions. It also means transforming large American companies by letting their workers elect at least 40% of the company's board members to give them a powerful voice in decisions about wages and outsourcing. And it means a new era of strong antitrust enforcement so giant corporations can't stifle competition, depress wages, and drive up the cost of everything from beef to internet access. Okay, that's cool. As the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, we can make investments that create economic opportunity, address rural neglect, and a legacy of racial discrimination. If we stop handing out giant tax giveaways to rich people and giant corporations and start asking the people who have gained the most from our country to pay their fair share. That includes an millionaire tax on America's 75,000 richest families to produce trillions that can be used to build an economy that works for everyone, including universal child care, student loan debt relief, and down payments on a Green New Deal, and Medicare for all. And we can make an historic investment in housing that will bring down rents by 10% across America and create 1.5 million new jobs. Okay. So she says student loan debt relief. All that need to be just gone. Just throw it out the window. Because most of these colleges ain't worth nothing anyway, right? So just throw them out the window. That payment line, just get rid of it. A lot of it's not going to get paid for a majority of people. Um, Strengthen our democracy. Hmm. Our democracy faces serious threats at home and abroad. Strengthening it will require dramatic changes. That starts with a constitutional amendment to protect the right of every American citizen to vote and to have that vote counted. But it's just the beginning. A constitutional amendment to protect the right of every American citizen to vote and to have that vote counted. Okay. She wants to put a constitutional amendment. Hmm. Politicians are supposed to compete over how many voters they can persuade, not how many citizens they can disqualify or demoralize. We must eliminate unnecessary and unjustified rules that make voting more difficult and overturn every single voter suppression rule that racist politicians use to steal votes from people of color. We need to outlaw partisan gerrymandering by Democrats and Republicans. Our democracy is not safe, not for sale, and we need to end the influence of big money on our elections. That means overturning Citizens United. It also means ending the unwritten rules requiring anyone who wants to run for office to start by sucking up to rich donors and watching the insiders. No more donations from federal lobbyists. No more donations from PACs. And no more billionaire super PACs. When foreign governments sow division, attack our democracy, and interfere in our relations, we must fight back and hold them accountable. And to prevent future attacks, we must reject the efforts of those with power to weaponize hatred and bigotry to divide us. Whether black, white, brown, we all want a democracy where every American can participate and we're all in a fight to build an America that works for everyone. She says some good stuff, you know. Nothing wrong with nothing that she's saying. It's just Elizabeth Warren, you ain't saying reparations. That's the problem. No reparations. I can't vote for you. I say if I don't hear the word reparations, I can't vote for you. Let's see, what else she got? She got one more. Equal justice under law. 4 words are etched above the Supreme Court. Equal justice under law. That's supposed to be the promise of our justices. But today in America, there is one justice system for the rich and powerful and another one for everybody else. It's not equal justice when a kid with an ounce of pot can get thrown in jail while a bank executive who launders money for a drug cartel can get a bonus. It's not equal justice when, for the exact same crimes, African Americans are more likely than whites to be arrested, more likely to be charged, more likely to be convicted, and more likely to be sentenced. We need criminal justice reform, and we need it now. That means ending racial disparities in our justice system. It means banning private prisons. It means embracing community policing and demilitarizing our local police forces. It means comprehensive sentencing reform and rewriting our laws to decriminalize marijuana. Equal justice also demands that everybody, no matter how wealthy or how well connected, is held accountable when they break the law. That means new laws and a new commitment to persecuting giant corporations and their leaders when they cheat their customers, stomp out their competitors, or rob their workers. It means judicial nominees that follow the rule of law instead of catering to the wealthy and the well connected. It won't be easy, but we will make structural change to fulfill the promise of our justice system. Our democracy demands it. Okay, so that sounded great. Great and dandy. But the problem is no reparations. Um, if you was to say reparations first, I might can go for some stuff you're saying. Maybe. But she sounds like she's trying to fight for the people. Well, some people anyway. um, yeah. Let me see. Did I hear her say anything about I don't think I heard her say that's about health insurance. Mm, anyway, that is enough for this episode. Those are those are the Democratic political candidates. We already know what the Republicans gonna have on their side. Um, so yeah, man. Uh, do your research, man, and like really pay attention to what they're saying. Nobody's really putting forth um a reparations package yet. Um, Cory Booker said he brought a proposal talking about a committee, but I ain't trying to hear nothing about a committee. We want it now. We need tangibles now. So yeah. All right. So I will see y'all next time. This is the outlet.